I could spend all morning trying to figure out the why behind what Barack Obama is saying. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to simply say he's right, and maybe he's coming around. Maybe that's what's happening. 9:05, good morning. Glad you're here on KCMO Talk Radio. So Barack Obama was on Michelle's podcast this, and Barack Obama said something on Michelle's podcast that is something I've been saying for a long time, and many of us have been believing for a long time. And he said here, quote, if you're not thinking about what's happening to boys and how they're being raised, then that can actually hurt women. And I'm like, whoa, who is this guy? Barack Obama knocking it out of the park with that commentary. First off, his ability to define a man and a woman, a boy and a girl, is definitely a step in the right direction for one of the most important voices in the party. But beyond that, he's noting that equality in gender is not a zero-sum game. We can uplift young women, and we should uplift young women, but it doesn't have to be, and it should not be, at the expense of young men and boys. And that's what we've done now for upwards of a generation, and we're paying a major social and societal price for it. So Barack Obama saying this on Michelle's podcast, and I was all over social media trying to find the audio. I'd love to play it for you, but I can't find it. I just can't. But I'm reading this from People magazine. People.com published this late last night. And Barack Obama then goes on to say, quote, some of the broad political trends we've seen, not just in this country but around the world, have to do with the sense of boys and men not feeling as if they are seen and not feeling as if they count. He's right. You know, growing up, I remember that a lot of the top students, especially in math, I was not one of them. I know you're shocked.
Talk about a bombshell.
But a lot of the top students, especially in math, were oftentimes boys. Now, definitely there are girls who were very smart. I remember there was a girl who I had oftentimes a lot of classes with because her last name was Murray. So she was M-U-R, I was M-U-N. So we were always near each other in classes and lockers and stuff like that. Very nice. And she was really bright. I think she ended up going to either Columbia or UPenn, one of those two. And I don't think she's an anti-Semite, which is pretty amazing as well. But she was always really bright. One of the smartest kids in any class I was in. But she was more the outlier when it came to the girls. The boys were still top of the class in math. And I say this as someone who's, you know, in my mid-30s. Although I'm going to be 37 next month. Does that mean I'm out of my mid-30s, or can I hang on and say I'm in my mid-30s, Mark?
I think you got one more year.
One more year of mid-30s?
Mm-hmm.
So 38 starts late 30s. Yeah. Okay. All right, great. Thank you. I appreciate you making me feel better. Now, I've talked to people who are in the teaching profession, and what they'll tell you, this is anecdotal, but they'll all tell you the same thing, I believe, at least the ones I talk to. And it's not just here in Kansas City. It's all over the country. They'll often say that now the top students are overwhelmingly likely to be girls in every subject. The boys are overwhelmingly likely to be goofing off in the back of the room. Now, boys, we always had the goof offs in the back of the room, right? But you also had the students who were serious. Now it's overwhelmingly likely to be female dominated in every subject in the classroom. Nothing happened. Like, there wasn't some great biological change that happened in the last 20 years. It's all societal trends and social trends that we've been pushing. So for Barack Obama to say this is, I think, a major coming out moment and an important, maybe the most important thing Barack Obama has said since he's left the White House. Now, whether or not he does anything with this, whether or not he tries to change the culture that oftentimes is driven by his own political party on this stuff, that remains to be seen. But acknowledging it is an important first step. So Obama goes on to say here, this is from People magazine, while Barack acknowledged that society has had major strides in gender equality, noting, quote, we rightly have tried to invest in girls to make sure that there's a level playing field and they're not barred from opportunities. He added, we have not been as willing, I think, to be intentional about investing in boys. And that's been a mistake. He's right. We gave up on boys to create an equal playing field for girls. We never should have given up on the boys. We never should have given up on young men and basically taken this approach of either or. And that's what we did. We also know that we have a culture that is broken when it comes to dads being around, dads being engaged, dads being involved. I mean, that's why you have great groups here in Kansas City like the Fathers Club, who we've had on the show a bunch of times, trying to right some of those wrongs and get dads more engaged and get dads more involved. But, you know, we've developed into this female-dominated culture. And I'm not saying that we can't have dominant females in culture, but there's got to be a give and take. It should be both, right? It shouldn't be females over males, which it feels like some people want to push. It should just be, first off, who's best for the job? Let's push both people and both genders to be their best, and then let the chips fall where they may. That's the ultimate best case scenario here. And there's not enough of that going on. There's not enough people who actually want to make sure that that's the culture and that's the society that we have happening right now. So you've got Barack Obama finally acknowledging this. Obama says here to Michelle that some men and boys, quote, become more interested in appeals by folks who say, you know what, the reason you don't feel respected is because women have been doing this or this group has been doing this, and that's not a healthy place to be. Yeah, well, when you pit people against each other, that's what you get. When boys now feel like they're taking a backseat to girls, this is what you get. Animosity grows. So what happens? Women right now are more likely to have college degrees than men are. You have a white-collar versus blue-collar breakdown going on. You have a dating world that is so messed up. I'm so glad I'm not in it and haven't been in it in going on 20 years at this point, that now is just swipe left, swipe right. On top of that, you've got men who are just going down the rabbit hole of things like pornography, which is, I mean, a total destroyer of confidence, of social well-being. It's an addiction for many young men now. They feel like there's no purpose for them. You've got 7 million able-bodied men out of the workforce. And this is not just about men. I've got 3 daughters. This is bad for them. It's bad for the future of the country. Whether you have young men or young girls, you need young men to be strong, to be confident, to have a strong culture. It takes 2 to tango, as cliche as it is, John.
Yeah, it seems like a pendulum swinging back and forth. So as we focus on opportunities to make improvements for women, we're not focusing on the boys rather than leaving them behind, so to speak. But as that pendulum swings, then the extremes will jump on. So not only were we focusing on the women, then we had the extreme side jump onto the pendulum momentum and vilify toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
So we carried the pendulum swing even further than it might have before we had time to turn around and say, wait a minute, let's get the equal opportunities here.
Yeah. Now, Obama's looking at this, too, probably from a political standpoint and saying, wow, Trump is cleaning our clock with young men. So there's no doubt to me that there is a political element to all this for Obama. His party has become the party of wine moms. Donald Trump's Republican Party has become the party of oftentimes younger American men. And it's a diverse coalition of younger American men who just want to get that pendulum back to, at the very least, the middle, which is where we should want it to be, right? That's what we should be lobbying and advocating for. That's it. And if Barack Obama is willing to acknowledge that, then maybe it's an opportunity for his party to look in the mirror and say, you know what? We've screwed this thing up from a cultural perspective. We've screwed this thing up from a societal perspective. And we've screwed this thing up from a political perspective. And maybe there's a willingness from their end to bring things back to the middle to where they need to be. I would love to see it. It'd be good for the country. Even though I admit it would be good for a political party that I'm not really a fan of, I care way more about the country than I do either political party, and it would be good for the country if both parties came back to acknowledging that.
Great point. I was going to bring that up, and you said it so succinctly.
Well, I try to do that once in a while.
It's not about whether the Democrats improve. It's about improving the nation. So,
yes.
Hey, it's not about counting the votes here. It's about getting back on track.
Mm-hmm. On the text line, Pete... Can I get an Emmanuel Cleaver, amen, a woman? I don't know if I have that drop. The best I can do is...
mustard, moo.
That's the best I got. Pete, Obama gets no credit for anything, 0, and I voted for the guy. Okay, I disagree. Do with that what you want, but I disagree. I'll give him credit on this one. Even though, yes, I think there's been a lot of damage done societally in this country by Barack Obama going back nearly 20 years now. I both those things can be true. There's no doubt about it.